The episode opens in a sterile German lab, where an older man named Schuler taste tests sauces for chicken nuggets, a vacant, emotionless look on his face. A woman whispers that three men are back to see him. After he's done tasting, he walks down a long hallway, past a number of corporate logos, as workers are taking down the one for Los Pollos Hermanos. Schuler sees agents examining a photo of him golfing with Gus Fring. He calmly grabs a defibrillator from the wall, goes into a bathroom, locks the door, and takes off his jacket and shirt. Sitting on the commode, he places an electrode patch on his chest and a bare wire from another in his mouth, then turns on the machine. He pitches forward onto the tile, dead, the weight of his criminal life having caught up to him. While we hear audio of Jesse talking to Walt on the phone about the ricin cigarette, we watch Walt creating a new one, this time using salt in the vial. His meticulous focus now on hiding his past actions, even from his closest ally. They talk about the need to make sure the original cigarette isn't somewhere a child could find it. Walt takes the ricin vial from the original cigarette and hides it behind an electrical outlet in his room, another secret hiding place in their tangled web. Walt and Jesse search his apartment for hours, a frantic search for any sign of their past recklessness. Eventually, they find the cigarette hidden in a Roomba. Jesse breaks down, weeping over his near-fatal mistake and realizing how close he had come to killing Walt. Walt consoles him, then mentions moving forward, his drive for self-preservation now fully focused on his next steps. There is a knock on Mike's door. It's Walt and Jesse. They tell him they want to fill the void left by Gus's death and need someone to handle security and the acquisition of chemicals. It would be an equal, three-way partnership. Mike declines, saying he thinks Walt is a ticking time bomb and that Jesse is too blinded to realize it. Walt shakes his hand and tells him to let them know if he reconsiders, his relentless ambition undeterred by Mike's cold assessment. Gomez meets Hank at the door, telling him a group of Germans has arrived. The owner of Schuler's company, where he headed the restaurant division, speaks of a desire for full compliance and a willingness to help the authorities in any way possible, knowing the spotlight is on him and what he can do to make it go away. Hank and Gomez sit with Merkert, who is being forced out of his job, taking the heat for Gus's criminal activities. They tell him Gus's laptop was destroyed. They are still looking for who gave Tio the bomb, and mention they have new access to some of Gus's financial information. Merkert expresses his disappointment, and also shares that Gus was right in front of them the whole time and they had invited him to their house for dinner. He says that you think you know someone, and they turn out to be completely different, a sign of his own personal and professional betrayal. Mike meets with a furtive woman in her 40s named Lydia at a diner. After she makes a number of strange requests for exotic teas, Mike joins her in her booth. She was a higher up in Gus's operation. She hands him a list of 11 people who have enough information to sink them and expresses concern about their loyalty during DEA interviews. Mike assures her his guys are solid and well compensated and promises she won't try to kill them, a lie that puts her fate in jeopardy and his new partnership on very unstable ground. Skylar doesn't want to get out of bed, the weight of her knowledge now dragging her down, but Walt rouses her, his constant presence a suffocating reminder of his crimes and manipulations. On his way into the DEA, Mike walks past Chow and his attorney. Chow is clearly frightened of Mike, attempting to light a cigarette before Mike stops him, a clear sign of his fear and intimidation. Mike is a constant reminder of the night he shot him while rescuing him from the cartel. Mike sits down with Hank and Gomez. Hank grills him about his position as head of corporate security and his past as a Philadelphia police officer who left under highly questionable circumstances. Mike says all the right things, avoiding arrest and getting away from Hank's scrutiny, and is clearly too smart for them to be able to lock him up. On his way out, Hank reveals they found $2 million in an offshore account in the name of Mike's granddaughter, and that it's lucky for Mike that he never touched the money, implying that some of the others they are looking at can't say the same, increasing Mike's paranoia and need to protect his assets. Walt and Jesse tell Saul their plan to start cooking again, wanting him to find a new lab location, their ambition now back at full speed. One issue is they need methylamine, a crucial component in their operation. Saul suggests they cut their losses and retire, but Walt says he's broke, revealing that he has lost everything because of Gus and his war. Chow calls Mike, saying the DEA has called him in for another interview. His money is gone, and he's worried. Mike says he'll be there in a few hours. When Chow hangs up, we see a man pointing a gun at him, ready to eliminate him to cover his own tracks. At Chow's place, Mike anticipates the trap and manages to overpower the gunman, a man named Chris, who already killed Chow. He tells Mike that Lydia promised him $10,000 for every person on the list he killed, and Mike was worth triple, that he had to make sure he was taken out quickly. Mike coolly shoots Chris, another display of his cold efficiency and control. Mike hides at Lydia's place and grabs her when she returns from work. He brings her to her bedroom, planning to kill her after her live-in nanny leaves. His plan now set in motion. Lydia is upset. Mike plans to disappear her body. Worried about her young daughter thinking her mother abandoned her, she asks Mike to promise he won't do that, her fear for her daughter overriding her own self-preservation. After some thought, Mike asks if she can still get her hands on meth. She replies, maybe. The stakes of their new relationship now set. Mike calls Walt, telling him, I've reconsidered, I'm in. Another level of Walt's dangerous alliance has been made. We see Walt get into bed with Skylar. He tells her what she's feeling with Ted will get easier. A hollow sentiment meant to console her, but failing miserably. He kisses her on the shoulder and says, when we do what we do for good reasons, we've got nothing to worry about. And there's no better reason than family. The true horror of his statement lingering in the air, the last vestiges of his morality now long gone.